All right, folks, we're back with another edition of the Red and White Podcast. We took a little break. I think it was a bit of a soul searching, but on the positive news, it's also the academic excellence version of the podcast. Dustin, congratulations, 4.0.
Oh, thank you.
I have to mention that. I think that would be wrong if I didn't. So
yeah. Dustin went back to school, and he's a nerd. So
that's fantastic. At least one of us has some smarts here.
As for the break, I mean, we could have been here and talked about it, but you can only eat a shit salad so many times. It's going to taste the same way. So there wasn't really a lot to add to the conversation. So.
No, I think you're right, and I think everybody kind of understands that and expects that. We had some really good emails from some folks that agreed with what we were saying, kind of felt the same way. It's just kind of a mourning period, if you will. And now it's time to move on to basketball.
Now, you described my life just now.
I did leave out the Brock Osweiler goals, but we can get back to that at some point.
Oh, please share. Like, Brock Osweiler knows the way, folks.
I mean, $100 million contract, and he doesn't have to play.
That's the dream. God, we've been doing
the
it
American
wrong.
dream.
Like, have you ever seen Blue Mountain State?
I have not.
You should. Do you have Netflix, right?
Yeah.
You should watch a couple of episodes. It's about I think it was a play on Boise State, a show on Spike, where it centers around the guy who is living the dream because he's the backup quarterback at a D1 school. So he doesn't have to do anything, but he gets all the rewards. It's fantastic.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's vulgar male humor at its best. It's great.
Oh, I will have to check that out. It's been like on my recommended list for years.
It's worth it. There's only like 3 seasons, so it's a quick breeze through, but it'll change your life.
Did John Elway pull one over on everybody? Did he know Osweiler sucks?
How good does he look?
I mean, he looks like a fucking genius right now.
Because right after it happened, everybody's like, man, I can't believe they stole this guy right out from, just ripped him away from the Broncos. Yeah, I think he was given away.
I mean, that was genius, obviously.
This is what NC State podcasts lead you to, folks, because there's nothing great to talk about.
We're talking about the Houston Texans backup quarterback.
That's a pretty NC State subject, though, isn't it? Like a backup quarterback of a shitty team. That's a good analogy. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Well, before we get too far off of or back into our own self-pity here, basketball season started a couple weeks ago, and I've been avoiding talking about it. People are excited, and I'm trying to hold back my expectations because it's a bunch of freshmen, a bunch of guys that haven't played together.
I mean, we were not talking about it to kind of symbolize, like, the amount of effort we've put into talking about basketball is the amount of effort the team has put into defense. You see what I'm saying?
Dude, the defense is atrocious.
That's not a surprise, though.
It's not. I mean, it's if somebody wants to break down the sabermetrics of basketball, I don't know what they're called. I don't know. But I would imagine that Godfrey's teams are historically probably dead last in any kind of defensive category.
Can't be good. They get better in January, but maybe February, actually. I don't know.
Maybe.
There's he doesn't know how to coach defense. I mean, that's as simple as it is.
And all defense is effort. And then you look at this team and you're like, dude, where's the intensity? These guys, I mean, I know they won by 35 the other night, but they don't look like they're excited to play. Right? They look like they're kind of going through the motions. We sat at that game the other day and we were talking about, where's the want? Where's the drive to crush these guys? Right? I mean, it was really weird.
I think a lot of that's the schedule so far. Like, it's hard to get up for Fairfield.
I guess, but Fairfield cut the game to like 6 or something in the second half.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
there's a mental thing there. I mean, you look at
yeah,
look at the preseason schedule we have, and then look at what Carolina plays.
right.
Like, those are big games that they're gonna get up for. Also, ha ha ha! Carolina scored 100 and still lost.
Speaking of defense,
Yeah, speaking of defense, Malik Monk has never seen it. But I don't know. I think there's a mental thing, and a lot of teams don't have problems with that, but that's not us at all. So,
yeah, I mean, and that's how we mess around and lose some of those random games you shouldn't. You know, that's how Tennessee State almost beat us. And if Fairfield wouldn't have shot 11 of 42 from 3-point range, I couldn't believe that stat. I knew they were chucking them, but 11 of 42 is awful. If they would have hit half of those,
yeah,
it would have been a crazy game. But I don't know, man. It's just watching them play, and then it kind of, I feel like it matriculates to the fans, and the crowd was just kind of meh. Everybody's just kind of like doesn't want to show up. The stadium's half full.
I mean, we had TVs to watch though, so.
Dude, if you could sit in the Champions Club for every game, I would probably go to more games again.
Oh yeah.
I would get my season tickets again if I could sit up there, get the food, sit in the little TV, watch the NFL games, the basketball in front of you. I mean, it's a pretty good deal.
I was a little guilty for watching the TV more than the exciting first half against Fairfield, but I really started paying attention when they started making that run to end the first half, and I started getting pissed off, which kept my attention.
Yeah,
but that was the only time I was upset, I guess. Like, there's no reason at all for what were they, like 2-3, something like that?
Fairfield was 5-3 going to the game.
No, whatever, same difference.
Yeah,
and come in and just run on us like that to end that half. Like, that was a terrible end.
Yes,
and they fought it off, but try doing that in ACC play and see how it turns out.
Right. That's what I want to see. You know, I want to see a little bit of fire. Right. I don't know what it is, but it's the crazy thing is that this team has got a guy like likable guys, and it's got guys like that I want to watch. I want to watch Dan Smith. I want to watch Terry Henderson. I want to watch, you know, all of them. I like it. I like watching these guys individually, but they're playing like that too. And the last time I remember seeing that was Sidney Lowe's underachieving teams. And that's not good, man. At the end of this, well, I guess midway through the second half, when they started playing well, and they're kind of running the offense, and things were kind of happening. I mean, that looked really good. That was a little bit of offense. I looked over at you and I said, hey, you know, Omir's a little bit of a game changer on the offense there. And it's not because he's a 7-foot scorer. It's because he's the high post with an understanding of how to pass it out of the high post.
Right.
And then he can turn and drill that shot. And so it's a little bit of a threat there. But why did it take them 30 minutes to start running that offense like that?
I mean, some of that could be getting back into the swing of things with him back in the lineup.
Yeah.
Either way, it was Fairfield. I didn't even know where that school was. So, I don't know. You brought up Sidney Lowe. Who coached defense better, Gottfried or Lowe?
God knows. I wish
This
somebody
is not good that you're having to consider this.
I wish somebody would do some analysis on that for us, because that would be an interesting question.
Yeah, James, that's you. You do that.
James, or our secret emailer, doesn't want me to tell his name out.
Yeah,
he puts together some masterful spreadsheets that I like sharing. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I think Sidney Lowe had C.J. Leslie, who didn't play any kind of defense. So I think that might skew his numbers a little bit. So it might be Gottfried, but I don't know.
I mean,
yeah.
If you looked at Sydney's teams, they had no fundamentals whatsoever.
Yeah.
But they tended to hustle a little bit, you know?
I'm curious. I'm not sure what that answer would be.
That's not good that we're even having that discussion. That's terrible.
It's not. It really isn't.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Wow. Anyway, I like Omir. I really like his game. I think he can definitely shoot, which is surprising. I think he has to figure out his seven. His being tall is not going to get him all the rebounds. He's got to box out and
right.
put a little effort there. But it's kind of least of my concerns. I mean, I think he's got talent, and I'm no NBA scout, but one and done is kind of surprising.
He's
From
going to have
what
to
I've
show
seen so
something
far. Yeah.
to get to that point.
I will say he does use both hands really well. He was in the paint and had a little left-handed, I don't know if you'll call it jump hook or whatnot. I was like, oh, that was lefty. Yeah. So he can do it. He can go both ways, but he definitely has to show a little something more
Right.
for me to say he's a one and done guy. I think people are saying the same thing about Dennis Smith, though. I mean, he's averaging 19 a game or something, but I don't know if he's wowed anybody yet.
Yeah, you got to wonder how much of that is. I don't want to keep going back to coaching, but I think he still goes either way.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's good enough.
I think the Turk does too, but I don't know. I'm not sure that we've seen their best. I don't know if that's the weak preseason type schedule, or we know where we're going with this. I don't know. We'll see once conference comes around.
Yeah, and I think it's part of being a freshman too. I don't think in most cases freshmen come in and dominate. I don't think so. I mean, even look at Brandon Ingram. Go back to the top 2 picks last year in draft, Ben Simmons and Brandon Ingram. I don't think either one of them dominated from the get-go. I think they were inconsistent. They had their dominant games, but they didn't take over every game, and I think that's people kind of expect that from Dennis Smith, and I don't think that's fair. So I think there should be some people should temper their expectations a little bit in that regard.
But the thing is, though, you look at a Dennis Smith, and then you put him side by side with Malik Monk from Kentucky, and he's a freshman, and he's taking games over.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that, again, we're going back to coaching, but I'll be curious to see what Malik Monk does when they're playing Eastern Kentucky and Western Kentucky and some of these other schools. I don't know. I just know that watching Ingram last year, he was up and down as well.
Right.
And not saying Smith's been up and down, but he hasn't. I mean, I guess he hadn't scored 40 points or whatever people are expecting from him to do right now. But again, like we said, that he didn't have Omir and everything's kind of. I think guys are still trying to figure out how to play with each other, which is really strange. But it just doesn't look like they have that. They're not meshed yet.
Yeah, they do look better with him back in the lineup.
Yes.
That everyone around him too, not just his production.
Yeah.
So you can tell that's what they were used to in practice.
Right.
So I think there's something to be excited about there. And then they're still, putting up almost 100 points a game. So offensively, that's great. But things got to change going into conference,
Yeah.
And it's the same story every year. I mean, I swear we've had this discussion before ACC play started, that we've got to see defense once that rolls around. And, I mean, they're better than they were last year as a team, but there's been no show of improvement on the defensive side, if any.
Yeah.
I don't know how much Bobby Lute's leaving has to do with that, because he was very big on the defense, right?
Yeah, right.
Which was like, okay, I'm kind of glad he's leaving, but it's not better. So
it's not better. It's not worse. I don't think. I think it is what it is. I know they brought in Schroyer to be the matchup zone guy, but I don't know if it's clicked yet, or I don't know what it is. It's nowhere near a Syracuse matchup zone. I don't know. I do like watching the team. Terry Henderson can shoot his damn ass off.
Yeah.
And it looks pretty when he shoots. It's like you feel like it's going in every time. In the first half of that game, they all did go in. It was crazy.
Right.
He was stroking it. But it's a weird kind of adverse reaction to Maverick. Like, he doesn't. He's not shooting as much, and not sure that's a bad thing. He was kind of inconsistent last year, but I still feel like you want both of those guys in there and both of them shooting. But Mav's a little trigger shy,
Right.
gun shy. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic to figure out how he plays and how he fits into that kind of equation there.
Right.
I don't know.
And
We
just another year.
just another year. That's right. And we talked about yesterday at the game. All year, Malik Abu was the forgotten soldier. Where has he been? And then he quietly has. I don't know if he had a double double or he was pretty close to double double.
Yeah, he lit it up when he got the time.
Yeah, but again, he's one of those guys that needs to show the effort. I think he could really step it up, and he's a fantastic athlete. He can really dominate on the boards.
Right.
But again, it comes down to effort. And Godfrey said it before with him. He's a big teddy bear or whatever he says. But that doesn't win you games. I don't know. I'd like to see that more of that group dominating together as opposed to Abu or Anya having one game and then Abu having another, and then Omir's going to have a game. Like, I want them both to, like, two guys to get a double double. I mean, that'd be some domination on the boards or something.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah. But I don't know, if you dominate boards, you don't play defense. That's all I got for basketball. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens as the season rolls, the ACC season rolls in. The competition level we talked about is just not very exciting.
They got to get better. That's the gist of it. So
that's it. Play some defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really thought that would have shown up a little bit by now, but I don't know. And there was one possession in particular yesterday where they were all over them, ran the shot clock down, just played fantastic defense. Fairfield takes the shot, gets the board.
Yeah.
The ref said he stepped out, but he didn't.
Yeah.
But stuff like that, when you play defense like that, get the rebound.
It's
like,
effort.
finish it. Yeah, they got bailed out, but man, I don't know. Like, that was probably the best defensive possession that we had this season that I remember. And
yeah,
it took a bailout to even finish it. That's very NC State, but that's not what they need to do. So
yeah, I don't know how they called that guy out of bounds.
Yeah, I don't know.
He definitely wasn't out of bounds.
He was standing right there too. There was an inch between his foot and the line.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So is life. Anyway.
I guess there's a couple football topics we should probably talk about before we get out of here. Des Kitchings flirted with taking the head coaching job at his alma mater, Furman. He confirmed and said, yeah, he was taking the job, and then overnight had a change of heart, and he's coming back to the Pac. What do you think about that?
I think that's stupid. I don't know. That's a great first job to have.
Yeah.
Low pressure, alma mater, like that's as good as a situation's gonna get. And I don't know. Would you rather be the running back coach at NC State or the head coach at Furman?
He's the assistant offensive coordinator and the running backs coach or something. I don't know what his title is.
Which would you pick?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what. Like, does this mean he doesn't want to be a head coach now? Is he going to be okay being an assistant?
I can't see that.
Is he going to stick in Raleigh even after we fire Dorn next year? I mean,
because he was a holdover, right?
He was not, maybe not the only one, but he was one of the few.
Yeah.
And he's arguably our best recruiter, at least our best recruiter in state. So it's a good thing to keep him. But if you're Dez, like, I would have expected him to take that job. So I'm curious what went on behind the scenes. Was it more money? Are the rumors that his family wanted to stay? Or is that happy? I mean, it's an honorable thing if you do that. If you sacrifice that for your family. I mean, I can get that. I can understand that. As a dad, that's what you should do. But yeah, how does that hurt your career trajectory at all? It's kind of what I'm wondering.
I mean, it can't help it. I don't think. I don't see how. Sorry, State fans, but I don't see how being an assistant for a mediocre ACC team puts you in a better spot than, winning at the lower level as an HC.
What's his next step is what I'm wondering.
Yeah, he's not going to get a P5 job, from where he's at. I don't understand.
So maybe he just wants to be an assistant. I don't know. But you think going to Furman would have been a good opportunity? Granted, I don't know anything about Furman football. That maybe their roster was awful, but if they had a half decent roster, he could win there pretty quickly and then get some attention as for the next MAC coach, and that's kind of how you launch your career.
Right.
I don't know if that's going to happen now.
Furman's what, SoCon or something like that?
Yeah.
So App's gone, Southern's gone. It should be easy to win there now.
And they've won before. I mean, Furman's had a decent program before. It's not like they're.
I don't even know who's in that thing. Like Furman, Wofford, Coastal Carolina, I think's in the SoCon. You can win that and get your name on the radar.
Right.
I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah, I just would like to know what the thought process was behind that.
We should have him on, and he can tell us.
I'm sure that's high on his priority list. He probably would. We're gonna ask him. I don't know. It'd be interesting. I mean, I'm glad he's staying. I think it helps. It helps our program. I think it helps to have continuity.
Right.
And I think he's a good coach. Matt Days has been getting better. It's not like he's gotten worse. So, I don't know. Interesting situation.
Right.
I'm curious if any other coaches leave after the bowl games. I don't know if the dust has settled yet or not. There's been
at least
some
they're
movement.
staying for the bowl game, right?
Yeah. How about Larry Fedora wanted the Baylor job? I don't think we talked about that last week.
No.
Last podcast, whenever that was. Yeah, Fedora, by all accounts, was upset that Baylor didn't offer him that job, and he wanted to go to Baylor.
Well,
do you want out of Chapel Hill that bad that you want to go to a school that has 50 scholarship players on the roster right now?
It's Texas football.
I guess.
I mean,
man,
would you be excited about coaching for a school that can't even put asses in the seats?
I mean, I guess that's the thing. Nobody shows up to those games, and he wants to get out. I don't blame him.
He goes to Baylor. He's at a football school.
Right.
He knows Texas. It's where he got his start. Baylor specifically. I don't know. You're never going to be a football powerhouse in Chapel Hill.
Sleeping giant, though.
Yeah. Plus, look at what they're going to lose this year.
Yeah, I probably wanted out too.
Trubisky's apparently going to be the next Peyton Manning, number one pick, lock of the century of the week or whatever. Hood's gone, or is he? Is Hood a senior or a junior?
I think Logan's gone. I'm not sure if Hood's gone.
Yeah. Little baby Wes Welker's out now.
Yeah.
It's going to be a different offense next year. So, and they collapsed this year. With that's why I'm not sold on him. I mean, yeah, they can score some points sometimes, but their offense took a step back this year when it shouldn't have. And lost some games they shouldn't have, i.e. Duke and NC State.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's kind of his MO. I mean, they win some games they probably shouldn't have, but then they lose a couple of those games that are like, I don't know. Hell, they lost to Georgia. Georgia's terrible.
Yeah. But they, lucked into a field goal to beat Florida State, and that's when everybody put him back on the pedestal. Florida State wasn't that good.
And that's what we've been saying this for a while. Even last year, they went Would they go 8-0 early? But if you look at their schedule, they didn't play anybody. I mean, their best game at that point was Delaware, and that's including having played 2 ACC games.
Mm-hmm.
So he's give him being a product of his schedule, and I think he's attractive because his offense puts up points most of the time. But maybe Baylor's obviously smarter than most people. I think Matt Rule's probably a good coach. I don't know how Texas of a guy he is, but he's a really good coach. Did really well at Temple. If you can win at Temple, you can probably win anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. Interesting. The last thing we need to talk about is that both of our phones are blowing up at the moment as our friends are discussing this for at least the second time. Tell me how you feel about Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette sitting out the bowl games.
He's a crook.
Which one?
McCaffrey especially. And we're on opposite sides here. So, finish the damn season, man. Like, your teammates can come out and say, oh, we support you and all that. And wank, whatever. Like, finish the season. You committed to that school for, we had the talk earlier too. Well, it's not like you went there for education. Okay, well, let's say that's what you signed the paperwork, saying that you had the education for stepping out on the field. They're paying for your food. They're paying for where you're sleeping right now. Don't quit. Don't quit on them. Don't quit on your teammates. I don't know. It's going to start a trend that's going to filter down now. Fournette did. We were talking about it yesterday with Fournette and saying that, this is going to start a trend. And sure enough, this morning, bam, there it is. And you're going to see all kinds of kids do that. And then it's going to come down to, well, what games actually matter? Does the Sun Bowl matter? Well, probably not, but it matters to the guys playing around you. And the fans that have supported you, and the people pouring money into that school that paid for their end of the scholarship agreement. So finish yours.
I mean, your team. You saw Chris McCaffrey's teammates come out and say, "Hey, we support him. He's been great to us for whatever how many years he's been there," and they have no problem with it. Is that lip service, or do you think they genuinely have no problem with it?
I don't know. I don't think. I mean, there's no way to know.
Yeah.
They have to come out and say that to take the pressure off, since it turned into such a big thing. If I were in their shoes, I would have came out and said that, but it would have pissed me off. Like, you're not better than us. If you block for him all year, and then he's, oh well, you have fun. I'm done. I got to worry about prepping for the draft. It's not going to be shit in the league anyway.
He's trying to get paid. I have no problem with him. As a fan, I don't like the trend. Right? If Matt Days had said this last year, or just this year, I'm sitting out the bowl game because I'm going pro, I'd be like, come on, dude. Like, that's not cool. As a fan, as a rational person, it makes sense, dude. If you got millions of dollars on the line, and whether or not you're doing it for injury or if you're just doing it to prep, I don't know what it is. And if you're getting the support from your coaches and teammates, right? If you're not just bailing on them like you would imagine somebody like freaking Johnny Football would do, right? He'd be like, F you, I'm out, double bird. I'm not playing this ball game because I'm getting paid.
I can respect him because he owns it. Like, he acts the part.
But I don't like he acts the part. How can you justify that?
He acts like the person that would do that. He's gonna be like, fuck it, Chris Stahl. Like, that's him. That's who he is as a person, and I can respect that. This guy is supposed to be. I mean, he's like little Mr. Football, and I don't know. To me, it's a character thing. Like, he quit on his team, on his teammates. Like, it's always, no matter what, when I think of him now, it's going to be like me before the team.
I mean, we don't know the conversations that happened if his coaches and his teammates said, dude, Why are you playing the freaking Sun Bowl against North Carolina? All you're going to do is run for another, 10 miles of yardage. You don't need to prove anything
Yeah,
else.
boost your stock
He doesn't need.
instead of
He
looking like a
doesn't need
pussy
to.
that's sitting out. Like he
He
could have
doesn't
ran
need
wild
to.
over Carolina.
Yeah.
I mean,
And so first of all, this is Carolina's luck, right? If this was NC State, not only would he would play, he would come back, and we'd probably have to play them in the opener the next year.
yeah, yeah.
But Carolina, no, Christian McCaffrey, he's bouncing because yeah. But the Sun Bowl, I mean, like, who gives a shit about the Sun Bowl? I don't care. I would assume his teammates don't care.
Hyundai does.
Yeah,
They
I'm
paid
sure
good
they
money
do.
for that. I saw a funny tweet earlier. It's like y'all are talking about this McCaffrey thing. Like Hyundai stock went down 10% when the announcement came out or something. It's like, yeah. It's I don't know. It's a principle thing for me. Like finish it. Don't.
I don't know. I mean, I get it. I definitely understand it. I understand the perspective of you're bailing on your teammates, but we also don't know what this teammate said to him. They're like, dude, you're about to get paid. If you look at Jalen Smith last year from Notre Dame, you're going to be a top 5 pick. You go play in the bowl game, blow out your ACL. Now you're a second rounder. Cost you $23 million, I think is the number I heard. Like, that's substantial. I would think that your teammates who understand why these guys are playing is to get to the next level are going to support. Like, hey, dude, go do you, right? Go get paid.
The teammates that told him it was okay are the teammates that get participation trophies. Like, it's about winning and finishing, not no.
Winning and finishing the Sun Bowl.
Yeah, well, the game's the game. I mean,
Dude,
when do you shut it down then?
If my son is in that position and he says, Dad, I'm thinking about sitting out the Sun Bowl because I think it doesn't add to my draft stock, right? It can only hurt me.
As to his character, Moose wouldn't do that. I know that kid. He wouldn't do that. He's going to finish what he started.
I guess. I don't know, man. I would support him if he said, "Hey, dude, I'm going to get paid and I don't want to do this." I'm like, "All right, don't play the Sun Bowl against Carolina."
I don't know. It's just quitting to me. It's being scared and taking an easy way out. I mean, it was my kid and he was going to make that money. I'd say sure because I want a house, but
right? See?
That's different. That's me using it to my advantage. That's not. I don't know. That's a totally different situation.
I don't think so. Just change your perspective on it, and you're like, oh well, maybe it's not such a bad idea.
Yeah.
I hate the trend. I'll go with you there. I hate that trend that if now guys are going to have to say, yeah, I'm playing the ball game. These two aren't the first ones to do it. I don't remember who it was, but it's happened a couple times in recent years.
But I mean, when do you decide to shut it down?
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
Say you're Ohio State's quarterback, or we'll say running back, since it's the one that gets hit, and they're there to compete for titles. They drop 2 games. They're 5-2. Does he say, "Oh well, I better quit now because we're not playing for anything that matters"? So I'm just going to sit out until the season's over and then go to the draft. When do you make that determination?
I think you point to Maurice Claret in that situation. Like, didn't work so well sitting out. This guy's sitting out. So he probably finished the season.
Kook, though.
Well,
say somebody better. Okay. Hell, I don't know. A Stanford running back. Let's go for that. So if Stanford was only concerned with titles, if he was so worried about this, why didn't he shut it down? When they dropped 2. Because with the rationale, you might as well.
The season, right?
No, the season's not over yet. The season's over when you don't play any more games.
This is bowl season. The bowl game doesn't count for anything.
So you help your team for the season, but when it comes to playoffs, you're like, nah, screw it, I'm out. No.
It's not the playoffs, though. It's the Sun Bowl. It's El Paso, Texas.
It's the most playoff they're going to get. El Paso's a great town. You can see Mexico from there.
I mean, they might have 6 people at the game.
Well, you can see
Carolina
Mexico from
game.
the stands. I mean, that's something. You can see two countries there. It
You know,
matters.
I'm not gonna lie that a few years ago I was hoping we went to El Paso because I would have made that trip
Jesus,
just
why?
because just to say I went to El Paso. I don't know. I mean, I think it'd be fun.
I mean, I'm
One
sure we
time.
can get there sooner or later.
I'm sure we'll be there sooner than later. I
Uh,
don't know, man. I thought it was funny. I'm watching the numbers on my group me app go up. We're at 163 messages on this topic,
yeah.
and this is the second time this conversation's come back up today. It's pretty funny. I
And
don't
I
know. I
can't
mean,
even
it's
catch up in
polarizing.
it. I can't catch up with this. There's too much.
It's the same. It's the same thing. It's the same conversation we had this morning. I don't know. There's no middle ground, man. People are either on your side or they're on my side, and they're like, "All right, you should play it out." I'm like, "No, dude, get paid." There's nobody in the middle saying anything else. It's really strange. I mean, it's polarizing, but I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting topic. I think it's a scary trend if it happens, but
Oh, it's happening. It's over.
yeah,
Mm.
I don't know. We won't have that problem. We don't have any of those guys, so
No, our guys finished the fight.
or just get knocked out early.
Yeah, or that. State character wouldn't allow quitters. That's all.
Yeah.
Anyway,
One more thing. Did we talk? We didn't talk about it already. WikiLeaks. We got to talk about it.
we gotta hurry. I'm trying to watch a football game.
It's freaking Panthers who are also checked out of the playoffs.
Yeah, but they're not gonna quit. They're not gonna
Yeah,
hang it up. You know.
I'm going to ask you that again in 20 minutes when it's at halftime.
They're leading, man. They're leading.
Are they?
Yeah.
WikiLeaks. Everybody knows what happened. I really encourage you to listen to Dan Wetzel's podcast because it was some of the funniest thing. 5 minutes of ACC football conversation I've ever heard. I mean, it was hilarious. He was railing Wake Forest, but not for the leaking part of it, for just like the shock that Wake Forest actually has a radio guy and people were actually listening to them. It was pretty entertaining. I Louisville gets fined $25,000. And to put that in perspective, if you rush the court in an SEC basketball game, your fans rush the court. It's a $50,000 fine for the first instance. So they got fined for cheating less than rushing the court. Explain that one to me.
SEC, man, they do it bigger. I don't know what that means, but I don't know. It was like a bylaw thing, right? For the max cap on the fine. Well, that's way too low. That might have been put in place for Carolina's benefit. That's
Maybe.
what I'll tell myself.
Yeah.
But no, there's 25,000 is chump change to an athletic department. You know.
And does Louisville? I mean, it's almost Carolina-esque with the fact that they're just laughing in the face of any authority. I mean, they hire Rick Pitino and they start having hookers and strippers at with these 18-year-old basketball recruits.
On a side note, why didn't I go to Louisville?
Right? So much better.
No, they have no standards there.
Right? And then they don't, I guess. I don't know what it is. And they hire Petrino again for the second time after this whole Arkansas volleyball girl motorcycle accident thing. And now this, like, they just don't care. And maybe we need to care less and just cheat more or just be shadier. I don't know what it is, man, but the whole thing just kind of weird.
Yeah.
And if you're a football program right now, if you're Dave Dorn, I'm out on freelancer.com trying to find some Chinese hackers to get playbooks because all these other schools have the football coaches, right? They're not computer savvy. Get some playbooks, man. Start do something for your advantage.
Dabo has like a Hotmail email address, right? Like those 1989 sweatshirts he wears. It's like dabohbc@hotmail.com. Password. Like we could get it. And 25,000, hey, that's nothing. Like,
Yeah,
that's the problem with the fine. It's not enough to not make it worth it. Like, they're not going to take wins away. It's just a slap on the wrist fine. Hey, why not?
it's. I mean, every college program should be employing some Russian hackers at this point. Do what you can. It's got to be the easiest thing to hack ever. Get some playbooks. I go plant some on Dabo's computer and fax it to Dave Dorn so he has it for the next game, right?
I'm going down a sad rabbit hole of imagining what Dabo's email address could be. Like fuzzybeardabo at hotmail.com. Like the most random things of big boy Dabo at hotmail.com. Like there's something there. So
I don't know. The point being that it's really weird that this is happening and that we have to talk about it, and that, I mean, like, legit, somebody is going to have a hacker on staff at some point. It's just going to happen. They already have the hookers and strippers. I mean, it's just the logical next step. It's going to become war games. And hey, now that you're a 4.0 computer nerd, maybe we get you on staff.
I could do it. Yeah. I'm on Dabo. I'm doing it.
Run some SQL injections on Dabo's Hotmail account.
Glory hole Dabo at hotmail.com. What? Okay, I'm done. I don't have anything else. Cut Gold Sweeney at hotmail.com. Okay. This is where we're at, folks. This is what we've come to. Whew. All right,
breathe. I got nothing else. We'll be back after the holidays. After the holidays, we'll try to record another one, and maybe I won't have tears in my eyes from having.
Snuggled Sweeney at hotmail.com. Oh God. Okay. Yeah. We'll see you next year.
All right, everybody have a happy holidays, and be sure to email Dabo.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. Email Dabo. Yeah.
Go back.